Hello and welcome to the Science of Skin podcast. My name is Dr. Ted Lane. I'm a board-certified dermatologist in Austin, Texas, and I'm here with my partner in crime, my business partner, Patty Ferris, who is a board-certified dermatologist in New Orleans. How are you, Patty?
I'm good.
Although you're not in New Orleans right now.
I'm not. Yeah. Don't ask, because I don't even know where I am. I'm traveling so much.
Well, Patty, we have an announcement. Like, this is a podcast, right? But we really have an announcement to make. And this has been something long in coming. We've been talking about it for a while. We've been working on it for a while.
Yes,
and
we
so
have.
Maybe you want to kind of spill the beans as to what the next big thing is regarding science of skin.
I think that it's so timely, Ted, that we're doing this now, because we're really seeing a shift away from anti-aging towards what maybe we call pro-aging or well-aging, and really a shift away from sort of short-term results into the long-term results, or what we're now referring to as longevity or skin span. And I love that term. We know our good friend Saranya Wiles really defined it and trademarked it. And, it's so apropos because it really represents, like I said, I think a real paradigm shift in the way we're viewing skin aging.
Yeah. So the Science of Skin Longevity Summit is our new meeting. It's taking place February 19th through the 21st in Scottsdale, Arizona, 2027.
Yep.
We're taking over the Grand Hyatt Resort in Scottsdale. And we're trying to do something a little bit different, everybody, because we're trying to help define what longevity in skin means. And so we can't have a huge meeting to do that, especially our first year. So we're going to ask people to apply to come to this meeting, because we need to make sure that we are including those people who are really interested in longevity, because this is going to be a huge conversation between industry and the providers, so that we can work together to really lay the groundwork of longevity for our specialty, and then make sure that industry and sponsors and everyone are moving in the right direction to develop products and educate the consumer based on what we think longevity is, so that we can really get the best out of it.
Agree. Let's talk for a minute about that. We're seeing the development of what we call longevity cosmeceuticals or longevity skincare. Many skincare companies now looking at the hallmarks of aging, how they can influence those hallmarks of aging in a positive way, whether it's mitochondrial dysfunction, the microbiome. We can go on and on about the hallmarks of aging, proteostasis. There's so many places where we can actually impact the way the skin ages. And this is really the focus of, I think, what we're going to be talking about with, like you said, heavy industry input, but also with the contribution of the dermatologists and plastic surgeon and aesthetics physicians who are really now focused more on this space.
I think what we're trying to do is get in on the ground floor, help define what longevity is for the skin, so that we can prevent a term that we're kind of just making up now, which is longevity washing.
Yeah.
So we're trying to avoid everyone in the future using, hey, it's a longevity product. It's a longevity product, because we know it's a hot button issue. It's a keyword right now.
Yeah.
And like every product right now says developed with dermatologists, dermatologist approved, influenced by dermatologists. But in the end, it doesn't mean anything, unfortunately, because it's used so much, except for those few companies who we know develop everything with dermatologists. So we're trying to say, look, if you want longevity in dermatology, it starts here. And we don't know all the answers, but together we can develop kind of a playbook for longevity in dermatology, so that when a product says longevity on it, it actually means something.
Right. And we also know procedures are coming right behind skincare. And many of the procedures that we're actually already doing, like microneedling RF and fractionated laser resurfacing, and of course, biostimulatory fillers, all of those things are kind of falling into that regenerative longevity category as well. So we won't be strictly focusing on skincare. We'll be focusing on the whole aesthetic toolbox, and how does that toolbox fit into the longevity framework, which we hope that we can define and put some really good parameters around with the help of our colleagues, of course.
100%. And I love that you said that, because our speakers are definitely dermatologists, but then we have reached beyond dermatology to longevity experts that maybe OBGYNs or uh,
Internists.
thank you, internists, people who have been working in the wellness space for decades and understand that the skin is the hallmark longevity organ, right? It's the frontline longevity organ. And they told us that.
They did.
And now they're going to come to our podium to speak at our meeting to our friends who are dermatologists and NPs and PAs to really help us all define what longevity means for the skin, how they think of it, and maybe how we can put it in our own terms with industry to make sure that all these products being developed meet the needs of our patients.
Yeah. I think we should also say that, having sort of been voyeurs at some longevity meetings, because we wanted to see what was out there, there's little attention paid to the skin, very little, sometimes none, sometimes just a little. But we really want to be on the forefront as dermatologists at paving the way to really understanding the skin as a longevity and a regenerative organ.
Mm-hmm. And listen, we're talking a lot about aesthetics, but we know longevity creeps into the medical side of dermatology as well.
Of course.
I'm running trials for a company that's using a senolytic for inflammatory skin disease as well as precancerous lesions. And so it's something that we tend to talk most about in terms of the aesthetic aspect of appearance and making sure our skin looks great, but it's really the health of our skin at its core. So I see this meeting as maybe starting aesthetics, but also just like we did with science of skincare, moving into
Right.
the therapeutic side, because just like skincare, so much of longevity affects medical therapeutics.
Yeah, and so many of the technologies that we see in the aesthetic side of longevity, whether it's growth factors or peptides, those two are now coming into medical therapeutics. So,
Mm-hmm.
so much crossover there. And then there's lots of questions, Ted. How do we measure it?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to measure success? Longevity doesn't, it's not a matter of getting rid of a brown spot or erasing or effacing a wrinkle. It's a very different sort of set of parameters. And then we've got AI. How does AI play into it? How do we personalize it? Longevity care should be highly personalized. And so we've got people that we're fortunate enough to have tapped as speakers who will be talking about all of those things, and how do they play into this whole new arena of anti-aging.
Mm-hmm. So we're not doing anything with our longevity track at Science of Skin Summit. That will still be a very robust, super interesting track. But we're taking it and we're taking it a step further, maybe even a lot of steps further
a
in the
couple
Science of
couple
Skin.
leaps and bounds further.
Exactly, in our longevity summit. So if you're interested in learning more, maybe even applying to attend, you'd go to scienceofskinsummit.com/longevity. And there's a button on that page that says express interest. You just click on that button, give us a little bit of info about yourselves, and we'll be in contact with you. If you have any questions, we're always available for questions. You could submit them at questions@scienceofskinsummit.com as well. There's a couple of ways now to get a hold of us, and whether it's for a podcast idea which you'd like us to cover, a question on something that we've said in previous podcasts, or if you want to get a little bit more information about this idea of longevity summit, let us know. But again, February 19th through the 21st in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Grand Hyatt Resort. As you can tell, Patty and I are super excited about this, and we're just trying to make sure that we're moving everybody forward on the same page so that we can get the best new products available for our patients. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. As always, we appreciate your support. If you like the podcast, give us a 5-star rating. Of course, the growth of the podcast occurs through word of mouth. So please tell your colleagues about this. Certainly tell your colleagues about the summit and the longevity summit as well. We'd love to see you all there. That's scienceofskinsummit.com for the summit that occurs September 17th through the 20th in Austin this year. and scienceofskinsummit.com/longevity for our new longevity meeting that's occurring February 19th through the 21st, 2027 in Scottsdale, Arizona. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Dr. Ted Lane. My co-host is Dr. Patty Ferris. Can't wait to see you at one of the meetings.